Hello and welcome. You're watching NewsX with me, Devika Devan. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has arrived in the capital of Maldives, Malé, for his first state visit to the nation. This marks a sharp turn in ties between India and the Maldives after a recent dip in our relations over President Muizzu's campaign for the top spot, which centered on the India out rhetoric. India and Maldives have been close partners for decades now, with India being the first country to come to the Maldives' aid on several occasions. Prime Minister Modi's visit is expected to result in the signing of several memorandums of understanding between the two countries, and delegation-level talks are also now underway. But what's the larger signal behind this visit, given the recent turmoil? I take that conversation forward. Joining me on the broadcast is Ambassador Suresh Kumar Goyal and Gautam Mukherjee with us as well. Ambassador Goyal, your takes on Prime Minister Modi's visit to Maldives, given that there have been now recent tensions and a dip, one can say, in relations simply because there was an India out campaign in the country.
1.5 years ago, when Muizzu had just come as the president of Maldives. He had been elected on his particular agenda. But soon, immediately after that, I think there was also a clear realization on his part, as evidenced by the fact that he came to India for the oath-taking ceremony of Prime Minister Modi. He was here on the visit at that time, and there has been a clear recognition over more than 1 year now that the partnership with India is an important partnership, and that this relationship cannot be held hostages to the kind of temporary moods and temporary idiosyncrasies of any one person or persons. And that story is now long gone. It is history. And today the relationship between the two countries is a very significant one. A huge bilateral content, as evident by the fact that we are now talking of Mahasagar, transition from Sagar to Mahasagar, inclusive growth for the two countries. So this partnership is now very, very strong partnership, and we must make every effort. I'm saying it with great degree of caution. We must make every effort that this is not again basically held hostage to a single person's idiosyncrasies, or it does not degrade in future into something that could be basically a problem for us. Really, it's a very sensitive relationship, and it's a relationship in which there is another competing regional power which continues to play games, and we need to be conscious of that. And I think that is what I would say. Important relationship, we have to make an effort to continue to nurture it and make sure that it remains strong enough, strong in the interest of both India and Maldives.
Okay, I want to bring in Gautam Mukherjee as well. Gautam Mukherjee, Mohamed Muizzu assumed office in November 2023. His campaign was all about India out, and now we're looking at 2025, just 2 years down the line. There has been a proper welcome for the Indian Prime Minister. What do you think then has prompted this need for a reset between India and Maldives?
Well, first of all, this is a great achievement for Indian diplomacy to turn a function of India and everything to do with it. Now, in the term of this very president, in the 1.5 years that the ambassador mentioned, he has had a change of heart quite quickly and has decided that he needs the cooperation of India, because we are only a few nautical miles away, and have always come to the rescue of the Maldives. Also for a necessary balance of power between China and India. India, in the meantime, has moved quite determinedly, one, to build better bridges with Mauritius. 2, to build a base in Lakshadweep. 3, to demonstrate our economic clout by motivating Indians to stop going to the Maldives and go elsewhere, particularly within the country or to the Far East. Now, all of this put together has worked very well. And if you look at Sri Lanka, it was a similar situation. They tilted too far towards China and have now moderated. I expect in due course, if all things go well, similar things will happen in Nepal. I cannot speak for Bangladesh, however, but this much is clear that this is a diplomatic victory, and on the part of the Maldivian government, they have been very sensible to try and balance their relationships, particularly with India and China.
Okay.
Devika.
Mithali, bringing you into the conversation as well, then I want to understand from your perspective, what do you think has prompted this need for a reset? Because a lot of people are calling this particular visit of the Prime Minister to the Maldives as a reset in our relations. But we can't keep aside the fact, or we can't brush under the carpet the fact that the person our Prime Minister is expected to meet was a person who came on a very clear India out campaign. Has there then been a realization that you can't just have India out? And has that realization come in less than 2 years?
So absolutely, first of all, Devika, thank you for having me on the show. I think there are a number of geopolitical factors, but also economic factors that are motivating the play that is happening in Maldives today. The first important message is around India and China relations, which are improving in the background of what is happening with President Trump and with the US. Because if we look at the announcement that came in from China a few weeks ago, India has actually been included in the list of countries, that will get not visa free, but will get easier visas now. It's not in the top list of visa free countries, but it's still one country where, travelers can go and now transit. India then also announced a similar policy just last week, where we said now the Chinese can come back to India after 2020. The ban has been lifted and Chinese can actually travel to India as tourists. Now, in this geopolitical and changing geopolitical context, we've also managed to secure a very strong trade deal with the UK. Seeing these developments and seeing the strength of the BRICS economies as a bloc, I believe that a lot of these geopolitical background movements would have prompted Maldives to understand that, look, why are we not engaging with India when China is starting to engage with India? Why are we not engaging with India when the rest of the world is engaging with India? Why have we let that relationship sour? So, these are very important geopolitical contexts. And number two is, of course, the strength of the Indian consumer. Like Gautam recently, very rightly said, the Prime Minister is the top influencer of our country. If Prime Minister Modi issues a statement that we should not be favoring a nation like Maldives for whatever reason, our people will stop going. And that has had a massive hit on the tourist economy of this Blue Island nation. So it's very critical for their growth that the Indian tourists should come back. Maldives is part of South Asia. At the end of the day, a number of initiatives around connecting South Asia, Maldives is a part of those forums. I've actually interacted with a number of officials from there, and they love India, actually. For many years, they have loved India. So I think the reset of ties was a matter of time, and that time has come. And the geopolitical, developments that are taking place in a wider landscape have made it favorable for Maldives to come back and to, engage with us and to understand that, it's better for us to work together than to work separately.
Okay. Ambassador Goyal, what is it that India then needs to focus on as far as this particular reset is concerned? You said that we must take it very seriously and work very hard. Of course, we've been continuing our support to Maldives through thick and thin, as even if it's about aid in terms of natural disasters or continuing our investments in certain projects. So India has really made it clear that despite government changes, we will continue to support your development and your economy. But what is it that we need to do to ensure that somewhere the political landscape of Maldives does not determine the future of India-Maldives relations going ahead?
$1 million question, Devika. See, as it happened in the case of Muizzu, and the fact is that depending upon who, after all, these are elections, and like we cannot predict beforehand. Like in the case of the USA, we didn't know that we will have to deal with an unpredictable person like Trump as the president of the United States, who will say one day that he wants to impose 100% tariff on China, and the second day he's comfortable having a deal with China, or who is as tough with the allies as he is actually not that tough, and he's really soft on the countries we thought were not the allies. So the point is not that. The point is that there is always a risk in any relationship of things going sour, depending upon who gets elected, who comes in the office, and what the agenda is. The thing is that from our side, we need to make sure that the contours of the relationship and how it benefits both the sides, and how that this relationship is not of a nature of a prejudicial nature to anyone is important. For example, like in the case of India, the first issue that came up was, of course, the aircraft. I think there were 2 or 3 aircraft, or 1 aircraft stationed in Maldives, essentially for the disaster relief training and management. Now, the first thing that happened was there were questions raised in Maldives by the Prime Minister, by Muizzu's office, that this aircraft and this team of pilots has to go. It was a difficult situation. There was a reaction in India. But slowly, we made it very clear to them that we have no interest, we have no ulterior motive in keeping those people over there. If you are not happy with the pilots to really operate these aircraft, fine, we will get them out. We'll send the civilian people to maintain this aircraft. But that it is in your interest to have this aircraft, because these are meant for your disaster relief management. And I think slowly the realization did dawn on them that what we are speaking is truth. And ultimately they came around. So we have to have a lot of patience in these cases. Countries do not immediately understand what actually we are talking about. But eventually, slowly, they will. And I think we need to be patient. We need to understand this thing. It has happened in the case of many other countries. Sri Lanka is an example that comes to mind immediately. We had a great deal of difficulties, but now they're beginning to understand that, yes, we are on their side. So patience is most important. And number 2, to not give a hint at any time that we are powerful and therefore you must listen to us. Nobody likes to do it. We don't like to do it. When Trump said that he mediated between India and Pakistan, you know what our reaction was. So nobody likes to do it. And least of all Maldives, which has the capacity to balance between India and China. We must be aware of it and keep the relationship on an even keel. Devika.
Okay, Gautam Mukherjee, bringing you back into the conversation then. Somewhere it would be slightly bizarre, a little absurd for Mohamed Muizzu to now roll out the red carpet for India's Prime Minister, given the statements he's made in the past. What exactly do you think would the conversation then be as far as the delegation level talks are concerned? Because we were playing out some of those visuals as well, and it was interesting to just see the overall nature of the welcome, of what all has been done for the Prime Minister, Muizzu coming himself. There was a hug that was shared between the two leaders, and there is a sense of calmness as far as the body language is concerned. One does not necessarily see any tension in the room, and especially from Mohamed Muizzu. We'll try to put out those visuals that I'm talking about on the delegation level talks particularly. It seems as though he is making an effort to somewhere give India the reassurance that it needs at this point in time. So what do you think India could possibly be talking about beyond just trade and economics?
I think there will be security pacts, there will be trade and economic pacts, and these are already on the anvil. They may not be signed this very time because they need some detailing and extension. However, India is quite prepared to move on and not worry about what was said and done at election time. If you look at Muizzu's behavior, it changed within months. He came here, he sent his foreign minister here, he sent various other people here. They have been, short of apologizing for their behavior, they have done everything possible to try and make it up to India. India is big-hearted about this sort of thing. It's had to be with Sri Lanka as well, and we have moved on. And the geopolitical positioning of the Maldives is very important. It's on the shipping routes. It is important for India to be a strong presence in and around the Maldives to check Chinese ambitions. I believe that whatever mending of fences we are doing with China are for entirely different reasons. They're aimed to some extent at containing American belligerence, especially in the trade area. But at the same time, we are not fooled. We have lived long enough with the Chinese to know that they are quite capable of stabbing us in the back at the first opportunity. The situation is not the same with the Maldives. The Maldives went too far to one side and have come back. We understand that. And we are prepared to move on and strengthen the relationship. The Maldivian opposition has always been strongly with India, even during the time when Muizzu's government was misbehaving in a sense. And so we really are not only going to get on with Muizzu, but should the opposition come back into power, we will get on with them as well. Devika.
Okay, Mitali Nikore, your thoughts on the same. I want to understand from your perspective, what beyond economics and economic policy and investment would or should India be discussing? And I say that because we've just witnessed India sign a historic free trade agreement with the UK, which was many years in the making. And we very clearly saw our Prime Minister sharing the stage with his UK counterpart and talking about some subjects which perhaps we were not expecting him to address. For example, Pakistani terrorism. He of course didn't call it Pakistani terrorism, but he spoke about terrorism, he spoke about extremist forces, and he spoke about economic offenders. So that gave some sort of a signal that India today, when it's talking about trade with countries, it's not simply going to be speaking about just economic benefits. We want to be trading with countries that respect us and our sovereignty as a nation. I'm assuming that there will be a similar tone and tenor as far as the Maldives is concerned. Your thoughts on the same, Mitali?
So Devika, I agree with you partially. I don't think that, when we are speaking to a country like the UK, with whom we've had a complicated colonial history, I think it is very important for the Prime Minister to always position us as an equal partner of the UK. Because this new trade deal also, we've managed to secure a lot of concessions from the UK because of the power of our economy and the power of our economic growth, and the fact that the UK is going to benefit hugely from accessing the Indian market. Now, when we are talking to a country like Maldives, we don't necessarily need to adopt the same tone. Rather, what we need to sort of say, and which we have been doing, is highlight the soft leadership of India as a leader of the global South. Because in the way that India has voiced the concerns of the global South at various multilateral forums, especially the G20, when India held the presidency of the G20, has not been replicated by Brazil this year, and has not been replicated by China in the time when China, was working on this issue. So I think somewhere emerging economies, especially smaller economies and island economies like Maldives, understand that India is one of the only countries in the world that will take a stand for them at a point when they require it. And very crucially, Maldives is at existential risk, because when we talk about climate change and rising sea levels, a country like Maldives is highly vulnerable. So they will also need support from countries like India in the negotiations on international fora. So I do think that, the support, and like you said, aside from the economy, two very important points for a country like Maldives to engage with India is really around, will India stand for me at international forums when I need it? And will they stand for me, especially in a situation of climate change, because the US is literally at this point withdrawing a lot of funding for climate change activities. So I think these are very crucial areas where where we can contribute for the Maldives.
Okay, all right. I'm being told that we are being joined by Mr. Abdullah Shahid, who's the former foreign minister of Maldives. Mr. Abdullah Shahid, welcome to NewsX, sir. Mr. Shahid, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, welcome to NewsX, sir. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much indeed. A great pleasure.
Mr. Shahid, given your long and influential career at the heart of Maldivian politics, including your recent tenure as foreign minister and your known advocacy for strong Maldives-India ties, there are a lot of critical questions that I would hope for you to address. I want to begin by asking you a tougher question. There was an India Out campaign which was significant and for many people deeply concerning chapter in Maldives-India relations. As someone who has consistently championed friendship with India, how personally challenging was it for you to witness that level of what we can call public animosity?
Thank you very much indeed. A very historic day here in the Maldives, welcoming the Prime Minister Shri Modi ji to our shores after the diplomatic lull that we have had because of the unnecessary narrative that the current administration has promoted during the run-up to the elections and during the last 2 years. It is heartening to see that we are able to hopefully put behind all these hurtful things that have been said behind in the past by the current dispensation here in the Maldives and move forward. True, during the 5 years of our government, the current governing party, the then opposition party, created this hateful narrative against our best friend, against our first responder, and against a country and a people who have stood with us through thick and thin. It was hurtful. And I kept on reminding the opposition then that, look, we should keep our own domestic issues to ourselves. We should not be using India, our best friend, as a political punching bag for political convenience. Nevertheless, the then opposition current government, including His Excellency President Muizzu, did not heed to my pleas. I urged them to use restraint. Today we are seeing that when you are in office, when you have to deal with the issues at hand, when you need a friend at your side, India is always there. And the magnanimity with which Prime Minister Modi and the Indian government had dealt with this government, the government of Maldives, is outstanding. The maturity with which Indian Prime Minister and the diplomats had weathered the last 2 years is outstanding. I recall fondly how my dear friend Dr. Jayashankar reacted to some of the media questions regarding the then escalating tension between our two countries. Dr. Jayashankar said that there are two things that you can't change in reality. One is history. The history that is behind us between the excellent relationship between our two countries, it will not be changed. It cannot be changed, and it will only flourish. Then the other thing that you can't change are your neighbors. We are here to stay as neighbors, and we will have to learn to live. And today we are seeing, we are witnessing in Malé, in Maldives, we are witnessing the reality of that, the gravity of that.
Yes.
We have to live together, and we have to look at history, and we have to appreciate with gratitude how India has always been the first responder, be it 1988 mercenary attack, the terrorist attack in the Maldives, be it the 2004 tsunami, be it the 2017 Malé water crisis, or be it the most recent, the COVID-19 pandemic. India was the first responder. India was the most generous partner, and these are just some of the instances where we have seen how generous India has been.
Mr. Shahid, I have to understand from you, Prime Minister Modi's visit, as you've also just said, is being hailed as a quote-unquote reset. Now, while symbolism is important, what tangible, concrete commitments or breakthroughs can truly be achieved behind closed doors that can assure India that Maldives is now firmly committed to its, or rather to one of its India First policy?
Well, today the symbolism is very important, and for Maldivian general public, we are trying to understand how Muizzu has made a U-turn, complete U-turn. Maldivians remember him standing at the Republican Square when he took office and addressed the Maldivian national flag there, that we will not be, our sovereignty cannot be violated, referring to India, run up to the elections, accusing India that you have over 2,000 Indian military personnel in the Maldives, accusing that the UTF Coast Guard Harbour is being built as a Indian naval base. All these, and after taking office, returning from the state visit to China, coming back to Maldives and referring to India, saying that we may be small, but you can't bully us. All these narratives, hate that has been pushed here in the Maldives, the people remember that. The people are trying to come to terms how Dr. Muizzu has made a U-turn, but people are also today asking, is he going to keep to his word? Because here in Maldives today, President Muizzu is seen as a person who pledges and who does not honor his commitments. But deep inside my heart, I really hope that President Muizzu is not taking all of us on a ride, that he will honor his commitments, that he is not only putting this for a show, but that he believes in the fundamentals of the relationship that exists between the peoples of our two great countries.
Okay, I also have to ask you then, Mr. Shahid, there must be certain circumstances within Maldives that allowed the current establishment, political establishment and administration to maybe capitalize on and therefore push the India Out campaign. Keeping that in mind, I want to understand from you, there is significant developmental footprint that India has in the Maldives, including major infrastructure projects. How does the Maldives then want to ensure that these projects serve long-term national interests without creating any undue dependency that could in the future lead to the sort of rhetoric that we've seen, or the sort of narrative we've seen in the past 2 years?
Well, thank you. It's a narrative that has been developed to create hate. It is how you present and how the entire issue is put on perspective. We are celebrating 60 years of independence tomorrow, but tomorrow also we are celebrating 60 years of diplomatic relations with India. And during the last 60 years, one of the major areas where we have benefited from India is not infrastructure projects, it is human resource development. We have every walk of life you see in the Maldives. We have thousands of people who have benefited from Indian institutions, Indian generosity on human resource development. Even during the last 5 years of our government, if we take it for example, we had close to 5,000 Maldivians who had got short and long-term training. We have military personnel, we have police personnel, we have intelligence personnel who have benefited from your great institutions. We have doctors, nurses, teachers, just name it. We have benefited. So yes, there are great infrastructure projects ongoing, but the backbone of the development assistance for the Maldives from India, and one that has not been celebrated enough, not talked enough, is the human resource development. When we look at the infrastructure projects today, two of them are going to be inaugurated, two projects that were begun during our time in office. The Ministry of Defense building just next to the President's Secretariat. We are also going to witness the inauguration of the Hanimadu International Airport, which is our international airport.
Yes.
Has been built in the north, which would connect the all South Indian major cities to Malé within 1 hour. The ongoing Greater Malé Connectivity Project, which was started during our time in office, with great assistance and generosity of the Indian government, 65% of the work is already done. It is the largest infra project that has ever been undertaken in the Maldives. We have the Addu Airport project. We have the over 60 islands. We have the water and sanitation projects ongoing, and majority of them already completed. So there are multidimensional development projects that are undergoing. And if we want to accuse a good partner, a generous partner for assisting us, then yes, the current dispensation here in the Maldives and President Muizzu did succeed in making that narrative a success.
But Mr. Shahid, talking about resets, there are concerns regarding the Maldives' substantial debt to China. How do you view this debt and the possibility of critical national assets becoming collateral damage, as we've seen in the case of, say, Sri Lanka?
Yes, our debt situation is serious. We need to cut down on unnecessary political expenditures and focus on development work. I met the former Sri Lankan finance minister and foreign minister during the unfortunate incidents in Sri Lanka, and he told me that he said, Minister, do you understand what is going on in Sri Lanka? I said, tell me. He said, if you are given a credit card and you go shopping, one day the bank will come asking for the money, and that is what is happening. And our government here in the Maldives will also have to understand that we are going shopping around with a credit card, and that there will be a point in time when the bank will come and knock on your door.
Mr. Shahid, I also then want to understand from your perspective. So the Maldives is strategically located in the Indian Ocean. The current government, as I've just mentioned, has deepened ties with other nations, notably China. How does the Maldives then intend to balance the diverse relationships without inadvertently becoming a pawn in a larger power play that we do see taking place in the Indian Ocean region?
Well, the strategic location of the Maldives can never be overstated. We are here to stay, and we have been given the honorable role of being the gatekeeper or the keeper of the Indian Ocean. We are regarded as the heart of the Indian Ocean. And for us, for the heart to function well, we need peace, stability, and prosperity. And for the Maldives to be peaceful, for the Maldives to be stable, for the Maldives to be prosperous, we need the Indian Ocean to be prosperous. We need the Indian Ocean to be stable and peaceful. And that can only be achieved if the littoral states of the Indian Ocean work together. And that is why when we were in government, we had such an outstanding relationship with India and our neighbors, making sure that we do not need foreign conflicts to be brought into our great Indian Ocean.
Yes.
We will, for us, for the Maldives, it is important that we make sure we work together with our friends in the Indian Ocean to make it peaceful. Let us not make Indian Ocean be a playground for foreign conflicts.
Ms. Abdullah, before I let you go, sir, I want to understand from you another important aspect. The recent tensions did impact people-to-people ties, particularly Indian tourism. What specific steps should the Maldivian government take in order to genuinely rebuild that trust and confidence amongst Indian tourists? So what would be your message to Indians who are watching this conversation?
Well, Maldives is blessed. We are just 1 hour from the world's 5th largest economy, an economy which has reached close to 4 trillion US dollars. Its GDP is close to 4 trillion US dollars. And an outstanding middle class is there in India, and a population which loves to travel. And here in the Maldives, we have the best beaches in the world, best underwater scenery, and the best environment you could ever dream of. And it was most unfortunate that 3 junior ministers went on that narrative and tried to attack not only the Indian leadership, but Sri Narendra Modi ji himself. And these are chapters we need to close, and we need to focus to the future. Why we built Hanimadu International Airport in the north is to attract Indian tourists. We recall with grateful appreciation how India provided us with a bubble travel arrangement during COVID-19 pandemic. There was a point in time we had more Bollywood stars in Maldives than in Bollywood during the COVID-19 pandemic. That is how excellent our tourism industry was benefiting from the Indian travelers. My appeal to Indian travelers today, please come. We welcome you. Our shores are open for you, and let us hope that the Prime Minister's visit resets the entire relationship between us and that we are able to actually close that chapter and move ahead.
All right, absolutely. Ms. Abdullah Shahid, thank you so much for taking out the time to speak to NewsX. Appreciate you addressing some tough questions that were put across and answering them with, of course, a lot of honesty, but at the same time with your appeal to the viewers in India who are also watching. Hopefully the message does get across. Thank you so much once again, Ms. Abdullah Shahid, former Foreign Minister of Maldives, for joining us on NewsX.